Namo Shriye Namo Shriye Soha O Namo Manju Shriye Namo Shriye Namo O Namo Shriye Soha O Namo Manju Shriye Namo Shriye Namo O Namo Shriye Soha Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Dang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Zonagi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Sangi Chudang Zogi Chuno Loi Chancho Badu Dani Kapsu Chi Daki Jinso Gibe Chonangi Njola Benje Sangi Chuba Shu Deke Jushin Beno Zhang Mira Lin Xin Yi De Ken Ba De Sang Ge Xin Do Mi De Wu Wa Yi Jue Ge Nan Da Xin La Jue Ba Shu Yi Da Yin Ko Zhu Ran Na Men Da La Ka Li Ya Da Ya Yu
Toma tunga jimla isi je tida ta bi chen di ma na ji ka din chen ta ta ma ma ji ba ji ja ma shi ba ta ji mu ja ba ni ji ji ma de na dewa de ja dan do ko lo ji ni du ba shi no de ka pi ji ja mu de ji ji ma de na de ji pi su ta ba da de chen ma de ba chi chi de ba ta shi ta shi ni ba ma na shi ni ba de so ku ji shi ba ma.
All sentient beings have been our mothers. All sentient beings have been our mothers for numberless times. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. Even though all kind mother sentient beings want happiness and do not want suffering, however, due to not knowing the objects of abandonment and adoption properly, they create a karma that bring forth the result of suffering only. In our mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디 이제 동화 진다 isi je tida ta ji ji go sun ge men ji cho ta da ta na chen na jawa ji ji jawa da bi sha de shi ni ma na shi ni.
Next, we generate compassion to all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all adversities. May 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all adversities. Of course, 3 doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free of all adversities. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves who should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Only those who have achieved the complete perfect enlightenment have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all sentient beings, by all means, I want to achieve the precious enlightenment.
Maybe simple but in Ranginika Daichi was the number Jinji Sabda, the church and the Rangi, the Rangi said, what you can't understand. She said, Ranginika Daichi was the Dojik of the same number Jinji Sabda, and that named Tanjana was here.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, that or aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. These transform into a mundis at one's heart. And our ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, that all phenomena are lack of inherent existence. These transform into a white 5-pronged vaja on top of the mundis.
So the Pumodana, you did that a conde of the
Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I neither exist intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
But the ageism, no children, Sanjay, 20 to Sanjay comfortable show. But the chedo, they can that on the chasing and it's circulation of this into the news of this collection.
Same motivation. For the sake of all sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to receive the whole commentary on holy teachings and practice accordingly in order to achieve the state, in order to benefit sentient beings.
I did it. To be Sunny to the rock. I did because you go to the channel. I want to tell you to the
So previously, we already covered the 11 virtuous mental factors. So today I'm going to talk about the 6 root afflictions.
That's only to the Tambu answer in the cha, control, Maja, Mari, Tawa, Tesson, Tawa, that they were in the cha, control, Maja, Mari, Tesson, Tawa, get to send it to Uswa.
So to identify the 6 root afflictions, they are the first one, attachment, second, anger, third one, pride, fourth, ignorance, fifth, doubt, and last one, afflicted views.
That was a new condition. Sunny to put it a mantle or chew worm, Sunny look at it. New condition level. That Sunny to put it out, Conjitaco, the one much of a chitan in
So whatever affliction there is, then it arises in relation with these 6 root afflictions. Therefore, these 6 are called root afflictions.
But Sunny to got Najim on the Tawa of the Taming us, you are. Taming other than the chapel of Maja Marie Tesson. That Tawa did that. And the Gita, Tawa changes the city to the water and mass she would work. And Naji, Taming other Tawa Nas. Hachi 22 still. That's only two is Tawa can get cheated to Jaguar. Tawa can get cheated to Tani, Sunny to Jaguar.
So when we talk about afflictions, there are 5 views and 5 are non-views. So the first 5 are non-views: attachment, anger, pride, ignorance, and doubt. These 5 are non-views. And then there are 5 views. So these afflicted views can be further divided into 5, such as a view of transitory collections, extreme views, or view holding to the extremes, a view holding ethics and conduct to be supreme, and etc. So this we are going to talk about it later.
I'm going to do my thing. She would when you do it, that number could be to the person and that chip can't do a rather machine. Seems they found that around the Sinji, rather machine, and you want it, that means the cheats in his Terra, Sinji rather machine. But she did some use in the Sinji rather machine, she did see it.
So regarding the general defining characteristics of afflictions or general definitions of afflictions according to Compendium of Knowledge, which we have talked about before. So the definitions of afflictions is a phenomenon such that when it arises, or is a phenomenon or is a mental factors. So when it arises, the characteristics of being very unpeaceful arises, or it arises in the characteristics of being very unpeaceful. And due to its arising, the mental continuum arises as being very unpeaceful.
That I'm putting on the day that our started to know number in the shadows. That's the real machine among the shadow. That I'm putting the president wanted to say some other young things and we should say that on that, and that's the answer in the shadow of the world. The living way. I remember thinking about that constantly gesture. The much the gesture.
And so we're going through one by one, so to understand, to ascertain what exactly these afflictions are, or these afflictions are. So the first one is attachment. So what is attachment? It is clinging of the 3 realms, and it has the functions of producing sufferings.
That's our teaching for me. We're going to want to turn the changes. And the church was that. Was a case of Shidua, that I'm with the Shidua, to do no. That kind of such a jingle can do in a dealer, the kind of so you want to that you want to the tender name, then I need to understand you in the world.
So just as it has been said above, it is a mental factor. Attachment is a mental factor that perceives the contaminated things to be attractive by way of its own entity, and thereupon seeks it. So basically, in brief, attachment is a mental factor that sees the contaminated thing as attractive, then seeks it or strives for it.
But the church was share non bi yidu ba yidu wa la mi da jis cha ba se da de lo lu da de da de ma zo de sha sa de ma zo有没有借他是就在下讲，有的呗，是这个呢借他是的，怕用个呢又个性，在下讲是吧？我说有些时候的我说觉得是说明我呢借不的，哈个我嘛就呢，你们刚才别说搞完的时候很多个呢，从汉多个呢，连很多个呢，搞完多个呢，他去有些呗，就嘛去把就借引起人呢，这个好像呗，现在的当的嘛那边呢。他就是常委了，对了，还这边他的嘛那边，那边一度梦完去了，一度完，差的，对了，一度梦完去了，一度完，但你这边是不是当的没事呢？这样说，这个经济这边你们现在忙不见派了，结果，但留下边我说，你不清楚就是那外的，可能你经济边你们现在忙不见不成价钱么事呢？多可能你价值听的，你能信，听我过。
And the foremost omniscience, the Tsongkhapa says, attachment observes an external or internal object that is beautiful and attractive, then becomes attached to it. So there is attachment. So basically, among the afflictions, attachment is the one that is the most easiest to arise. And even though it's the most easiest to arise, yet it is the most difficult to get rid of. So attachment is easiest to arise and most difficult to get rid of. There is attachment. So if we are not aware of its arising, then even if we spend our days like going out and go to work and buy things, etc., then this attachment arise continuously. So even though it arises continuously, it is very important for us not to pursue after it. So if we were to pursue after it, then we start to see things that is not as attractive, then we pursue it. And because of this pursuit, then it brings or induces many other afflictions. It's just like a magnet that attracts the metals. So because of attachment, it induces many other afflictions.
我就在这块用过的对对农机的效果多，在这时候的我说热了怕弄，我跟你说热了弄是就对了，太难给吧呢，对了太难给吧呢嘛，太难当时又搞不就了嘛，咱们说搞不就哇塞，哦，这时候热了弄给吧了都给吧那些，又搞不，你们现在那个呢被热搞不了，都给吧那些，你们那个就是当对不了，咱们说对不就哇塞，那对切个东西有没有什么？ 在这的是这个人是接他不了，他用个人是又搞不了去。但你们现在呢，是人搞不了都就把那些，他用个呢就是连他了去，那个就是吧。
So attachment, there is a example to describe attachment is easiest to arise, yet the most difficult to get rid of. So it's like a piece of oil. You soak a piece of cloth in the oil, and then you use this oil cloth to to pull on the floor, and then it attracts all the dust. So if you want to shake the dust of this oil cloth, it's very difficult, right? So that is how attachment is. So compared to other afflictions, so other afflictions is like a piece of dry cloth, not soaked in the oil. Then they use it to drag on the ground, and then though it attracts dust, however, it's easy to get rid of.
俺这些的来看到这么辛苦多，你并且这的苏锦多，现在是你辛苦多，俺这并且苏锦的苏美的这苏辛苦多，俺这些的是。
And attachment is of three types. Attachment of the Desirium, of the Formrium, and of the Formless Realm.
俺这明白这了嘛辛苦的，但这并且这是并且这里，你是这个看国门这的，看国门这些的，记得这么多。我这并且这个是并且下是的你了，下面要看国门这些的，记得把这个是并且下是的多。
So according to the treasure of knowledge, it divides into two. So attachment of the Desirium and attachment of existence. So instead of listing differently, so it combines attachment of the form realm and attachment of the formless realm, two higher realms, into one, the attachment for assistance or attachment of assistance.
단 대비 대처서 내가 저 대형으로서 수다 달아서 비트는 대형아 나라 미니 텔라페 차바 지게 완전 비니서 대형으로서 미마 미와 다 이도 모이 대형으로서 간지네 다 이도 왔다 텔라페 차바도다 차바도다 때에 레지 디차고와
Yeah, so attachment of the Desirium is aspiration for an attachment to the 5 qualities of the Desirium, such as form and sound. So 5 qualities of the Desirium or 5 desirable objects, such as form and sound, upon observing them. So this it exaggerates these 5 desirable objects and then attach to it.
kan kuman jin 대처서 돼 간다 시빈 대처서 돼 간다 데레 수수메지 논주라 그 수수메지 논주라 탈라도 전에 그때라베 수수 논주 때라베 탈라도 전에 그때 때라베 십 차바도 십 차바와
And the attachment of the 2 upper realms is condensed into one, known as the attachment for cyclic existence, because the 2 upper realms are referred to as cyclic existence in order to overcome the mistakes of taking the meditative absorptions of the form and formless realms as path of liberation. So, so in mistake the meditative absorptions of form and formless realms as path of liberations, then attach to it.
그래서 이제 차세와 디기페 이들레페 쉐비지 제스 노바이는 대샤 되게 원다 휴천부 좀 노바이나 다 되게 쉐리드 가르스나 다 쉐리드 다 랑지 간디나 참을페 동아치야기 이 쉐레 리지얼스고 대샤세와 되고와 다 대차세와다 간다 가서 진짜 너무 지나 대차 대원다 휴천부 레오도 너무 뒤지 많고 추디와 마지막 차단이 있어야 가지고 때 도자와 대차다 공포스 되니 난 대차다 구분이 있어야 되니 앞에 자크 프린시플에 마가와 시고 제비니 뭐래 lumba 프린시플 시고 마디와 디와 뭐래 나무 프린시플 마디바 뭐 우리가 저들이 참여를 다 소소게 조고 조모이네 야 대차다 시간들이 뭐래 그거다 뭐팀바 소야 종이지 앞에 나한테 가서 하자 시작지 야 친구 막가 들었대 공조 다 되니 원데 다 노바 소소가 하고 이 때때 휴 친구야 마이완이 그래서 다 하고 때만 관이야 이렇게 친구 참 네, 소소 가신당 오시고 말하면서 내가 최선 뭐고 시고 말해 내가 샤세와 감비네 휴 친구 감비네 내가 같이 짜 시고 말 다시 가요 아주 로조 마지막에 카자와는 요 말 지다코 네바 사워드 네바 사들 같이 짜 시고 말 되게 제부 가지고 저 네미 좋다 시고 말 네미 좋다 마시데 내가 샤슈 친구 같이 하고 이거도나 데레 앉아 대지스 대지스도 때 타투는 제부 등에 놓으니 된 저거 지야지 말 신신고 당한테 로조 지에 참고 로조 지 신고가 안 돼. 샤스와 되게 남이의 실에 간디요네. 디시고데 벤더샤드 배슈치고 인데오데 어다땡에는 전에 배 하장 차시 휴치고 하파 되다와이나 딜라 네네 마디와 마치와 치텐데 요레스나 데소서 비틀마 피지 같은 멤버를 때와 안내 못 돼요. 좋아?
So the functions of attachment is specified as producing sufferings. So that is the functions of attachment. It produce sufferings. So not only it produce sufferings for oneself, we also produce sufferings for others as well. So due to attachment, then if we take a family, for example, if the family members have strong attachment, then it's very easy to have conflict, and then the family members won't be happy as well. So because of not only of this attachment, so we attach to the persons that we like, and then we have anger towards the persons that we don't like. So because of these two, attachment and anger, then even if we think from a bigger scale, so a country, so because of these two, then the countries, between countries, then there is no harmony, and then we bring down to a smaller scale, such as the family members, and because of these two, then the family members won't live in harmony as well. So down to one's associate with our friends and etc. individually. So one associate with our friends, and because of these two, our relationship with our friends and etc. friendship etc. is not stable and is not in harmony as well. So because of these two, once have anger towards a person that we don't like, such as enemy, and we attach to persons that we like, such as our beloved ones. So it's very important to oppose them. Having known about this attachment and anger, then we oppose them. It's very important to do that. Otherwise, if we do not know any about the attachment and anger, we do not know about their nature, we do not know about their functions, etc., how could we apply antidotes? So now we study a little bit, then we understand if attachment arise, what kind of frictions or ripened results that it will bring, and what is its functions. So having understood that, then you try to apply antidotes to remove it. So compared to many others who do not know or do not study, then who do not know about it, then they do not think about the faults of these afflictions when it arises. So at the end, when they experience the result because of these afflictions, then they left nothing but regret. Yeah, so if one has attachment, then this attachment naturally or induces anger. So because of attachment, then it naturally induces anger. So it's like a magnet that attracts a metal. So how does it induce or brings about anger? Is like, for example, if we have some desirable objects, some objects of enjoyment, then we regard it as very precious. Then we attachment becomes very strong towards those objects of enjoyment. So if and there's another person come and then looking at your object of enjoyment, then take a little bit, or grab a little bit, or steal a little bit of your object of enjoyment. So then you become anger. So due to your attachment towards those objects of enjoyment, if some others come and take it away from you, then it induces anger. So you become very angry at those persons, right? So after once becomes very angry and fall under the control of this anger, then your body, speech, and mind follows. So your physically, then you start to do bad things or engage in bad conduct, and then verbally, then you start to say bad words to others. Then mentally, then you have this malice, and you wish to harm others. So because of falling under the control of anger, your body, speech, and mind creates or accumulates a karma together. So because of this anger, so even we create a very heavy negative karma, as heavy as the 5 heinous crimes and etc., such as killing oneself or killing others. So it's very important when it's about to arise, then we should be aware of it. So the second affliction is anger. So according to the compendium of knowledge, so he says what is anger, and it is a malice towards sentient beings, suffering, and phenomena that are sources of suffering. So these 3 are the objects of observation for malice. So just now the attachment, right? So attachment is you regard something as very valuable, or you have high regard for something, then attachment, then you go as attachment arises towards that object, right? So and then it is related to this one anger. So then just now, the example, for example, if you have a very nice car, one of the example for the object of enjoyment, for example, a nice car. So then you see it as very beautiful, then you attach to it. And if another person come and then steal your car away or to destroy your cars, then you will see this person as unattractive person, or in other words, is you see as an enemy. So and then you attachment start to arise towards this enemy. So when attachment arises, then it's very important when you're about to get angry towards the person already, then you have to make sure, you have to aware that about to arise, the anger is about to arise, and then you do not fall under the control of anger. So then when it's about to arise, then you have to start to use your intelligence with reasoning, etc. Think about the faults of it, then think about a way to suppress this anger in order to stop it from arising. So you have to do a lot of analysis, especially at that point. So in order to stop it from arising or to suppress it. So otherwise, if anger you let it you let it arise full flash already, then your three doors will fall under the control of it. Then you can no longer stop it. Then you will only cause harm not only to oneself, and then you will cause harm to others.
That's conduct to control the Hakovashna. This is the Kulu of Hatija, Lilhai.
Yeah, it's easier for us to stop the anger from arising, but understand the objects of observations of anger, or the objects observed by anger. So the first one is sentient beings, and the second one is one's own suffering, the sufferings of suffering, and the sources from which this suffering arises, for example, weapon, poison, etc. So anger arises in dependence on these three objects of observation, and by knowing these three, then it's easier for us to stop anger. Yeah, until we abandon anger, then this anger will come anyway. It will come. So, however, when anger comes or when it arises, then it doesn't stay constantly. It doesn't stay for very long, like unless we meet with the objects. Then otherwise, this anger is not long lasting. So, like for example, if we have a good chat with our friends, then at that time, then we do not feel angry, right? So one of the reasons that we say anger is not long lasting. So when we are in such occasions, or even if we have party with our friends, then we are very happy, right? So at that time, then we do not feel anger. So that's why we say, even though anger, until we abandon anger do comes, however, it doesn't last very long, or it doesn't stay for a very long time. So when anger does come, and most of the time is due to attachment. So we have to understand this. So even though attachment arises, we have to try our best to not let anger become full force. So even though we still feel angry, however, we have to make sure, we have to try our best not to let anger become full force or become full flesh. So then by thinking about the faults of it, by thinking about the reasons that it's going to harmful, it's dangerous not only to oneself, it's dangerous to others, etc. So if we able to not let anger become full flesh, it is one of the very powerful practice.
c'est la sema tuba lansa ba roa c'est tout beau c'est tout mot de l'IGP du la théorie de quand mettre la nursing c'est tout mot théorie de pour les bon pour les dans toi là j'ai que c'est tout beau de là où des ça mais on est c'est bien on est想要不就公开呢c'est tout beau de là呢là da mal che ba chi ba on est tanné que courant ni ji cha ça da ji sans le dire ba ina on est tanné ne roa c'est tout beau de là 지난 7년이라고 근데 지난 파바던다고 그래서 갈러나 그러나 수수 파바는 자꾸 말이 치차도 말와 그러니 지사 앞에 남사티 지상을 질려오니 뭐에 저기想받은 내용으로 와 나 군도 카트 땡게 짜서 와 땡게 짜서 이 년에 전부 시다 때가 때虽然 같이 쌓여 아마서 토자고 이제虽然 갈리스타 남사 하고 말이 수수 다 근데 배 식수고 때라 소소 배想받아 니지기 배 상호지 땅어디虽然 납치 못 사사다 좋아
So, for example, if a person say something in your face, something bad directly to you in your face, then if we are not able to tolerate with our mind not being our mind not being able to tolerate with it, or we become impatient, then we start to have a very harsh mind towards that person. Then that is how anger arises. So when this harsh mind arises, then this is how anger arises. So if we are a person who cultivate loving kindness, if we do take time to meditate on loving kindness, then even if a person come and say something bad to you, like calling you pig, calling you dog, etc. So whatever they call it, whatever they name you, you're not going to become the things that name you, right? So you're not going to become a pig, or you're not going to become a dog by just them by them just calling you that. So then instead of getting angry, then you start to cultivate a loving kindness towards that person, and then you start to cultivate compassion towards that person. So instead of getting angry, then you cultivate loving kindness and compassion towards that person. Then it is stopped, or it opposes the anger from arising. And by opposing anger from arising in this way, one definitely accumulates extensive merits.
Oh, digital also control 봐 카티야 그 있자 두 바이나 다 남은 상황에 기본 요한 그 변도 전부를 해서 라인의 기본 남의 기본 맞지 디스 마치에서 내 건가를 지나 대차다 컨트롤이가 돼 이용도 내리지 무시 되는 것 같다 손이 꺼내지는 것 같아 차단이 좋아 하여튼 요새 또 나오다 말이 봐 차디 좋아 저 요새는 말이 봐 차디는 이는 커리커도 나서 내 진짜 되니까 차단이 되다 싸워도 말이 그래 좋아
So it is very important for us to stop anger. So if we're able to stop anger, then a family they will be happy. So it definitely contributes to the happiness in the family, and that which make us unhappy, that which give us a lot of problems, troubles, and give us so much difficulties. That the direct ones are attachment and anger. So these two are the direct and the words that make us give us difficulties, troubles, problems, and that is rooted in ignorance. But the one that directly harm us, directly give us troubles, are attachment and anger.
어디 그 나시 지금 보고 쉬우도 그 나시 쉬우도 제노네 답에 데 커뮤니티 데블스 해보거든 와 달라네 바시에스 셰도 셰반주로서 디 송샤 달라네 바시에스 셰도 셰반주로 다긴다오 도보 파마 칼리지나 네사스로 네 바시에스 셰도 셰반주로서 다 디수 소야 와 다게 달라 다게 달라페 펜타수 펜도 인도스와 한 펜타반주로서 다 예송샤 what that this pele down the that is this some time on the thing also my this so much my cham oh this
So regarding the teachings on the 9 bases of Malice, so these 9 bases of Malice are three. So is it that which harm us? Sorry, that which harm oneself. Sorry, that which harm oneself before, and that which is harming us, and that which will harm oneself in the future. So basically 3 times. One has that which has harmed us, that which is harming us, and that will harm us. So refer to the sentient beings that will harm oneself. And then in relation to our beloved ones, such as our friends, our family members, our parents. So again, of 3 times. So that which has harmed the beloved ones, that is harming the beloved ones, and that will harm the beloved ones. So again, the 3 times, so 6 spaces already. So and then the third object is enemy. So then the enemy, one's enemy. So that which benefits one's enemy. So that which has benefited one's enemy, that which is benefiting one's enemy, and that will benefit one's enemy. So 3 objects here: oneself. The second one is beloved ones, friends, parents, family members, and the third one is enemy. So the first 2 is harming oneself, harming our beloved ones, and the third one, enemy, is benefiting. It's benefit. So then of the 3 times, that makes the 9 bases of malice.
That is done also kundu shile, right? That kidan also nimi chisa, that nimi sora also that shile chan male, right? Shile the condition also kundu the shile de say de la kanda digitsawan ni yum chiki. The chibu tsawani yum chiki for shile the say de la. That say shimala na pe duja shwir that is, right? Pe nyawa vida tendo la ma le jijang le sangi pe yodo me to chade wa kundu se wa kundu shu chembo de wa le ji sa de da ngendo lo ma to de lo tsawani ni che ade ta le te pa ngendo le pe ma pe cha wa ina ngendo le ji chawri se no la ba ma shi wa kundu shu chembo de wa le ji sa de e le ji ngendo le ji ya cha ja wa da de anda kundu de ni de ma ji ji so da de ji ma shi wa.
So then, we talk about the functions of anger. So the functions of anger is causing one, do not have happiness, not only in these lives, it also produce immeasurable sufferings in future lives. So when we talk about the functions, then we can understand the faults of anger. So because of anger, one do not experience happiness in these lives. It definitely we will not experience happiness in future lives due to actions accumulated under the control of anger. So, and if we accumulate karma under the power of anger, then definitely, as 100%, 100%, we are going to be born in 3 lower realms. There is no karma accumulated out of anger can bring us can bring us a happy rebirth. There's no way. So 100%, it will only bring us down in the 3 lower realms.
수작이 미 컵제부야 너시 마지나베 나수 아마데 들리와 내가 너시 리스 이들 두즈다 간다 군도와 뭐 들리리스 내 간다 군도 들려오데 다 컴페센들라 시와다 대와다 자원 도구마리 니 야부 구구마리스 그 셈바 디지템 셈바 템보 차고 마리스 좋아 들리 차고 야부 이거 마리스 좋아 다 담고 되시고.
Yeah, so engaging in the bodhisattva deeds, the Bodhicharyavatara says, so if one maintains a painful mind of hatred, so in other ways to say this is, if one is pierced of anger, so if one's mind is pierced with hatred or the mind of hatred, then one's mind do not experience any peace, and one's mind do not experience any joy and happiness, and you cannot sleep as well because of anger. You cannot sleep, and then your mind is unstable. So this anger is like how to say a strong pain that you are unable to bear with it. So it's just like unless you take how to say the painkiller or even take an injections or eat the medicines. So unless you take a painkiller, otherwise you are unable to sit still. You're unable to stay with tolerate with it or bear with it. So that is how anger is like.
다 공부 세워야 되면서 뒤로와 간다 로와 때 내가 전부 쉬우지를 공부지 먼저 때 까딘 진지 소소라 때다 간다 노다 롱지 로와 노다 롱지 셀라서라 근데 가디나 소소 강이 최고 요비가라 그래서 참아 소소라 때 로바 진팅기 지로와 로바 진기시 로와 다 도로이나 세이나 칼라이나 가르토리나 소소 로바 진기시 रोबा जिंगी दिला खुंडो देगी ट्रेन लॉन्जा छिया के ता नेगा शोले ट्रेन लॉन्जा मतलब ट्रेन लॉन्जा से पे दूजा हुआ नांजी चुचो कोरोना पे भी दूजा चंगो ट्रेन लॉन्जा छिया हुआ वो ता थंबो देसी पे खुंडो दे सोसो माजे बाइना सोसो ला कडी चेची हमादा सेदा केदा टोपो यासा गासा खाना के सोरो दा सुरो रोबा छिया जो दिसुला ट्रेन लॉन्जा छिया के नेगा चंगो यस हुआ
Yeah, so if we are not aware and not be careful with anger, so if anger arises, then even we will do something very bad to even the persons who are very kind to us. So we repay the kindness with ingratitude. Like for example, a person who are kind to us, like for example, help us when we are in difficulty. So with food, with clothes, or even those who have loving kindness or affections to us, even those who help us with their wealth and objects of enjoyment. So to such a person who are very kind to us, and if we are not be careful with anger, then there is a great danger that we will repay their kindness with ingratitude. So even this ingratitude, even in the in the society aspect, then we consider a persons who are ingratitude a very bad person also.
ट्रेन लॉन्जा से नांजी खुंडो तेगा जो खुंडो दंडागुयो ट्रेन लॉन्जा में खुंडो दे अब नेबा छाचिमो शुजिरे हुआ एता मजो नुमा ममी शिजारे कबा तुंग सभी गेजा जो खुंडो जी कबा तुंग सभी गेजा एंड जो दिली पे निगा छिगो सगोरवा अदे माजी खुंडो दे सोजो माजी बाइना राना ना हाजा कदु हपा दे छवा रंगी साई लामा गेगे गेशिनी ओदा दुसोला पे ट्रेन लॉन्जा जी छबाइना 지선냐와 마도 요마 세워다 수백 내가 친구들 소소치에 뺏게 좀 좋아 뭐 군조비 시원도 봐이나 다 소소리 게이신이 게게 라마도 가리나 그런 적이 빼 소소라 빼 수소빼 야고 차치도 빼던 라이자이나 시이나 간디지 메바이나 이제 수소빼 나와 마도 왕기 내가 마보고 왕기 뜻이 군조 와이 내가 쉬는 데스 와. 오 든지 군도지 랑바이나 군도 왕도 숨바이나 당연히 전에 가봤던 에 게자라 친구 참아비 좀 샀다. 와. 좀봐 마세베 냐와 라나 빼지야리. 빌레사. 와. 어디 게친구 쉬고 군도 이미 있어도 네 성공함이 소소치에 와.
So when we talk about this ingratitude out of anger, it's not a normal kind of anger. It's because out of anger, if we become ingratitude towards the persons who are kind to us, the negativity becomes very heavy. So then one of the one of the consequences out of anger, if we were to do something bad to the persons who are kind to us, then it destroys our roots of virtue accumulated for 1,000 eons. So the 1,000 eons long of roots of virtue are destroyed out because of anger. And then not only that, if we out of anger and we do something bad towards the persons who are kind to us, for example, one's on root guru, one's teachers, and one's spiritual friends. So, and they say they give us advice, and then they give us advice so that we can become better. So, however, then when we listen to those advice and we listen to the words of those teachers, then we do not like it, as a not pleasant to hear. Then out of anger, then we start to get angry, and out of anger, then we start to say bad words to the teacher, for example. Then one of the consequences is our roots of virtue accumulated for 1,000 eons are destroyed, and there is no other way for us to reborn but hell. Yeah, so we can even see the faults or the consequences anger brings. We live the future lives alone. So just this life itself, it brings so much harm to us. So when we associate with others, then out of anger, so even oneself, your complexions degenerates. You do not look good at all. Then you also become kind of weak. Then because then even if you are a very beautiful woman, then out of anger, because of anger, then you also do not look beautiful. You do not look beautiful. Even if you are a very handsome man, because of anger, you also do not look handsome at all. Then even if you eat a very delicious food, you do not taste it at all. You do not find it delicious at all because of this anger. So, and even if you sleep on a very nice mattress with a very nice quality pillows, yet because of anger, you do not find it comfortable. So, when you associate with your friends, go out with your friends, etc., then you're not happy because of not do not have harmony. Then even a good person, out of anger, then this good person will start to do bad actions and etc. So because of anger, a person who helps you, a person who likes you, then they will no longer like you, they will no longer benefit you because of your anger. So when you are caught in the problems, then there is no one to help you anymore because of your anger. You scare them away, you chase them away already. So therefore, it's very important to practice in relation to anger. So I'm not saying that we do not have anger. We definitely have anger. Until we abandon it, we have anger. It's just that we have to be very careful with anger. So what does it mean by being very careful with anger? It means we have to practice in relation to anger. So again, when we say practice, as a practice, then it doesn't mean that you just stay there and then sit in full lotus positions, etc. Then with your eye closed, etc. That is not the practice that I'm referring to. So we can practice anytime, even when we are walking, eating, sitting, or sleeping, or lying down.
Yeah. Onda pe kungo meba ngaso pe namen chanti yoga inata kopi kap kontu inata twa shubya twa namji twa pe mise twa chingita chanti yoga ina chuji tuna pe chul twa shubule sansa ji yore kopi tuna nanji pe twa che sansa ji ya o da tindi tuna da so keso re wa sendela diji shimala ya bo chanu gore o da so ngaso chuji ne sa anga di pe this is that Naji Judo Pinani chat
Yeah, so if we do not have anger, the family will be in harmony, and because of having a harmonious relationship then even we just drink a cup of coffee, then even that is a normal cup of coffee, a usual cup of coffee, because of having this harmonious environment or living in a harmonious environment, that cup of coffee become extraordinary delicious. So therefore, it's very important to practice constantly, continuously. So not only you will benefit in this life, you will benefit the future lives as well.
That is Najiri, the one Najiri. Najiri Kanda, Kundile, Jisula Tower, St. Kim Hasi, Magipa, the Duan education, the Jesus,
yeah. So the third root afflictions is pride. So according to the Compendium of Knowledge, so what is pride? It is a puffing up of the mind in dependence on the view of the transitory collection.
No, in a Norsa, you so can be she can rule a minute, the kind of sinking the number to decision. That kind of say can be a number to sing it to Roa. That no Lunji can be in a Roa, no Lunji Yundi can be to in a bed. That's also pay say can be number to say Roa.
Yeah, so basically, pride is a mental factors. That is puffing up in relation to objects of enjoyment, wealth, and qualities.
I did let you know my video, I did number do. I did number dinner. I did the conduct. I did number the Naja, Fabi Naja, Naja Legion, no, maybe I choosing the
So pride is of 7 types. The first one is pride. The second one is exceeding pride, pride beyond pride, pride of thinking I, pride of vanity, pride of slight inferiority, wrongful pride.
That among Najis was the law. Najis was the member the double a Dutch shepherd of Passover on the same Kimber law. Member the double. But did it not the Najis law? Chidang Najis was the that's also a pena, the Longitolina Meba, Zula and Sokotonino, so the Meba telling Machachi. That general Longitolina, so the member telling Machachi law. Or that's also Lojo in Nitolina, so the member telling Machachi. That general, Chidang Najis was a ditchua. That can up a so pay Kanda, Yundi was here by that so pay member telepathy, then a so pay Tosa Jacala Deja, so that you copy and Tosa, Chito, and what I'm doing so that she had to pay a legal about that.
So pride is a puffing up of the mind, thinking that one is superior to lower persons. So when we talk about pride in general, so then we have this arrogant mind. So this arrogant mind, then we compare our objects of enjoyments, we compare our appearance, we compare our youth even, then we compare our wealth and possessions, then we compare our level of educations to those to those lower ones. So they have those qualities, but their qualities are lower than us. Then we have this arrogance, we have this haughtiness. Then thinking that I'm better, I'm greater than the low ones. So if we have pride, then as if we are staying on the as if we are staying on the 100th floor, and then we are looking down to those low ones who stay on the first floor.
Then nimba de ganzo happy ngaje de wa happy ngaje de. Well happy ngaje de around the number no le da cheba the pass sa ele pe shibu pe so ya tosa de wa.
Yeah, so then the second one is exceeding pride, and is a puffing up of the mind, thinking that one is superior to peers.
That is somebody ngaji li jang ngaji si de wa. Ta ngaji li jang ngaji si wa de kanda he cheba the papa knowledge da chi cheba the pass in sin keba. That be hinda be yundi loss of the che the papa yabu yoba ina. Dele pe tandu ngarape che the papa de something ngaji chi ro. What is it?
So the third one is pride beyond pride, and it is a puffing up of the mind, thinking that one is greatly superior even to other superior persons. So others, the superior persons, they have they are great in their qualities. So, however, because of this pride beyond pride, then you feel arrogance, and you have this puffing up of the mind, thinking that you are even superior to them.
Oh, that is just Shibadra. That no one that manage Kumbola meaning now the same camera. I did what manage Kumbo Tabla meaning, then no one in the same camera.
Pride of thinking I is a puffing out of the mind, thinking I upon observing the appropriate aggregates.
That moving I did it, no matter what. That moving I did it. That Indi Matobola tone in the same camera. Matobola, Indi Matobola tone in the same camera.
So pride of vanity is a puffing out of the mind, thinking that one has attained what has not been attained. So though you haven't attained it, but you think that I have attained it already.
That did it. Junsen being a just only chit about the papa knowledge. That Junsen may know the same camera. Did kind of did it. That Dutch will be combatted. Dutch will be combatted. Tongi dealing Arab with these Maramado. The patching double you all know the same camera. Did it. Kitchen about the Dutch wasn't dying tomorrow. Dutch wasn't a tabato. That Dutch balling up with these mother dish that she don't say too much.
So this pride of slight inferiority is a puffing up of the mind, thinking that one is just slightly lower than others who are actually greatly superior. Like for example, if there is another person, a sentient being. Yeah, there is another being who have achieved the arhat already, who has become arhat. So then you think that, oh, I'm just slightly lesser than this arhat. So if a person become arhat, then he has achieved the liberations already, right? So then because of this pride of slight inferiority, so then you feel arrogant, thinking that I'm just slightly lower than this arhat only. So we are kind of the same. So if this then is pride of slight inferiority.
That dimba the lobbying I just did. That was a surely in the ton number the deal. Been a reach you in the top of Batavadi. That did it, that I'm not.
So the wrongful pride then is a puffing up of the mind. So thinking that one has attained excellent qualities when in fact one has gone astray.
That thing was just on the usual, but they got it. Bemboda which in a row, the Najipe was the Kanda Wancha Chimoda with Javaina. That Corona me Chimbo is that Shenda Wancha made you to be like Tina. Roa. Did you end up tapping or up a woman Tandar Cosa Chen Rosa a pay Roa, say Kimbachi. Did you know Corona GPS was a Yabuji Bembo Yabuji Maina? That me Chimbo Jitania. One chap page to the major condition. Page major, the legacy Vaina. Something Arape normally pay. Till heart is total Sadirwa. Yendi Matobala Yendi Toba de Canada. Yendi Manibala Yendi so you, but I'm looking at just a day. Yendi Matobala Yendi Toba. Say Kim,
because Yendi Toba, they want Cha Chamber, right?
哦，对，
有点拖啊，
哦
你另外的钱的作用，
因为这头要嘛，
因为
我说我说本部就啊，或哪几边往家我底下不要把是本部要不进呢，他可能两个把节目进的，节目进的，民情不一大，往家北京去了接俺们就是，你就是呢，到时候我们往家北京到时候国事的小三吧，都估计没有小三的，但是说估计现在这个嘞，民情不大的，他民情不的被国事通过你的俺家这边他直接往家接要啊，往家去了，我对。
Yeah. So an example is like how say the supervisor, or it can be a manager, for example. So originally this manager or this supervisor has great power and can make a decision, is a decision maker. So however, then this manager then looking for wants to change job, and then then you only look at the name. So the name, the positions sounds very good and it sounds very big, it sounds very big. And however, that positions do not have the power to make the decisions. So, and however, this manager only look at the names and then think that is very big, then change the positions or change the job, and then end up with no power to make any decisions, even though the name sounds very good. So originally, then he has this power. Then after change the job, then no longer have the power to to make decisions, etc. So then this is also one of the example of a wrongful pride, because of thinking that he has a big name now, and he start to become arrogant, etc. Then this is also an example for wrongful pride.
那当然，你叫你头年不弄把单位的，你在这里背起下来，你也不用啊。我这边，那个钱了我记了的，那个连续也是恐怕这样农园呢，他家我就农续全部的呢，农续全部呢，恐怕也就下连把它被农业在那边，这个也在季节度呢，是恐怕或者嘛三土嘛土那我记得。农续全部这边一直讲搞这些的呢，他农民们阿边多把的这些的，是多把这里去那样的上来去，我等你谁听吧，有么事吧嘛了，我等你谁听吧是吧？他农民阿多把这一啥的，你对吧？那你娘的这边呢？等你这边路过，但现在嘛都把现在特别弄嘛。
Yeah. So another example of a wrongful pride that you do not achieve, you do not have such powers, but you claim that you have such power, especially to practitioners. Then sometimes we might have this wrongful pride. So, like for example, if we walk, if we travel and then we walk, then suddenly there is a very strong wind that carry us to the top of the mountain. So there's a small mountain. Then because of this strong wind, then it carries us to the top of the mountain. So while carrying us, then our feet do not touch the ground. Then as if we are walking, walking in the air, is like sky goers, So then we are kind of walking in the air, and then we reach the top of the mountains. So then we claim that we have developed realizations of supernatural powers. So that is an example for wrongful pride.
可是你那边，你那大把联邦是那边，俺这今年有的吧？你那边是说中国的蛮穷的不乱，中国的蛮穷的不乱，日拍村里边日拍的吧，中国穷的不乱的，米朗那里嘞，那是那个哪的，米朗的，你知道不？就但我们都把这里面是中国人穷下去，这里啥都不得，都把是干有的。
Yeah. So and then there is another example for wrongful pride is like sometimes we regard our dream as real. So then when we dream of flying from one mountain to another mountain, even though it's just a dream, then we regard the dream as real, and then they think that I have developed realizations already, so I'm able to fly across. Then if you really to do that in real life, then you only end up falling.
Oh yeah, that ngaja number did the terror. That me year in Geneva with the shader ngaja the mambo in Dura. That and that ngaja see what they can that delivery wa. And ngaja dimbo the Naji Yonda de Chiva, ngaja did wa. Ngaji teach and ngaja see what that Kanda Ran can't never for Shiva ngaja see what that you put the shisha wa.
So then in Precious Garlands, they also list the types of pride. However, they are very similar to these 7 types of pride that we have just mentioned. So basically, when we talk about pride, pride arises in relation to those who are superior to us.
ngaja see what the top so long gile chivala keshiba so be ro Candidina be in the Gillet Cation get told each other. Yes, Naja de Mazu Chusuno ina, Chusuno and me, I won't never put to me to the dead. It's also Chamber Show, the soon. Chusuno and Mazu be Naji, and me, Yaro Mazo, Java someone never. The ditch on the wa, Najeshu Chamberlain. Oh, this was a Gila Topa Chiala that never cheer near wa, never cheer near. 주소는 문제하고 있는 시대에서 나지 휴치입니다. 나지 넘블랑 윤디 지금마다 나서 도 공부 뭘 나시 리지 디컬 축까지 문제는 추대고 말아. 어떤 나지 집에 나서 뭘 가고 지가고라고 지가고 도도 디가도 축 같이 말로 장수지 말로 얘는 되고 말아지. 어떤 나지 휴치입니다.
Ni nanglo la jingi maro.
Oh, nanglo jingi maro. Ma sure go jara maro. Jingi maro, diga jingi maro. Chuk bati ko du baina bati ko mo chi jingi maro. Ta ngaji shu chembola ko lojo to bi inde kaki che tu mari se ba. Kaki che tu mari se ba.
Yeah. So pride has the functions of obscuring any new attainment of the dharma attainment of the scriptural realizations. Because scriptural and realizational teachings. So yeah, so this is the functions of pride. So if a person has pride, then even in a society, these persons with pride, then we also do not consider that as a good persons. And they're always thinking that I'm higher than another person's, I'm greater than another person's, and others do not like the persons also do not consider this is a good person as well. And then if a person has this pride, then whatever the actions that he or she does also is not good actions as well. So yeah, so then this pride is likened to a ball. So it's like a ball. So if you try to even if you put into a pail of water, then you do not go into the water, right? Even if you bring this ball to oceans, then this ball also cannot go into the oceans, right? It would just stay on the surface or stays on the surface, right? So because of pride, then even if you study, you will not develop any good qualities because of pride. So then don't mention about the realizational qualities.
Yeah, that's the Gyel-tsen. That's what Mariba in the Shiva Mariba. That is so kind of cheaper when I just did machine to do the that is Mariba in down.
So there is a brief explanations about pride. Next one is ignorance.
That Mariba the Ganda Bungi the constantly in the Shiva de China, Lobon about the Tesla, the Nemo Banji, Nishi, the Jins to do the
So ignorance, according to the compendium of knowledge, then what is ignorance? It is unknowing of the 3 realms. It has the functions of acting as a support for the arising of wrong ascertainment, doubts, and afflictions with respect to phenomena.
Mari Bandele Ganda, Nishi Bimoma, the Shinjino, Marini Shaldua, that day, maybe challenging. That's the Mariba Yoda Mambo Shujo, that I'm diversity in
So ignorance is the mental factors of unknowing that is obscure regarding the modes of abiding of all phenomena. It is of 2 types. Obscuration, that is the mental factor of unknowing, and second one is an awareness that apprehends erroneously. So in general, if we were to divide ignorance, then there are many types. So in brief, it is of these two types. Yeah, so in the compendium of knowledge, so basically Asanga and Vasubandhu, they assert ignorance to be the mental factors of unknowing, and Acharya Dhammakiti, and then together with the proponents of the middle way, then they assert ignorance to be an awareness that apprehends erroneously. So in general, if ignorance can be divided in many ways. So another way to divide ignorance then is of two types: ignorance that is obscuration with, or that is confused with respect to actions and their results, and ignorance that is obscuration with respect to the meaning of suchness, or ignorance that is confused with the meaning of suchness. So the first type, ignorance that is obscuration with respect to actions and their results, and causes one to accumulate actions for rebirth in the lower realms. So that is the first type. And the second type, with respect to the meaning of suchness, then causes one to accumulate actions for circling in the good migrations. So its function is specified as acting as a support for the arising of wrong esteem, doubt, and afflictions with respect to phenomena. So basically, due to ignorance, then as we mentioned in Lamrim class, then due to ignorance, then the types of attachment and the types of anger and wrong views, doubt, etc., arise due to ignorance. So basically, whatever afflictions arises, then you can trace its root is traced to ignorance.
Maripa say not Katuba Dashirpa de Debo was a hobby email in the Tommy to the Sunday machine. Maripa say Manton, Mishipa, Masawa. But that condition for someone on the someone Maripa say Katu Maripas, Manton, Mishipa, Misewa. Now we use the Misewa. What the indigenous? Yes, how much you
Mitoa, Mishiva, Misewa.
Misewa. That don't use Misewa the word.
Yeah, so if we were to explain this ignorance, based on the meaning of the words. Yeah, if you were to explain ignorance based on the meaning of the words, in other words, is etymologically. So if we explain ignorance based on the meaning of these words, then this ignorance is ignorance is that which do not see its object, do not know its object, and not clear or unclear with its object. So that is ignorance. So that is same as the assertions of Asanga and Vasubandhu.
当我是被下班的，密码送的吧，那密码送的南通的级别，这个同样门的了不起，南通的差有啊，我在等你了不起什么我，密送吧那，南通了不起我。
Yeah, so it's like I said that do not see, right? So the first one is like we close our eyes, then we are enshrouded in darkness. We are enwrapped in darkness. So that is the first one.
特别我就的节目的呢，看把那个老面白呢，我就就是讲了，你跑吧当，比如话买多少，你忙不就地下要白呢？他老早的里面呢，他南通的起码都你家己全部就大白呢，或我呢真的就通过嘛哇，南通的，我的有点，但有点没啥话的看的，有点没啥话，有点忙通啊，还是多多学习吧。我等你那就上网的呢。啊，过得过多啊！
没通话，没写吧，没写
话，没写话是，但没有蛮多的，glass 卡里呢，就只么多这个呢，经常说，对，通过嘛的过，通过嘛的过，那通过就嘛的，谁不给用嘛了？我得了不起。
Yeah. So I said not do not see, do not know. And is unclear with this object, so it's like closing our eyes. Then we are caught in the darkness, or we are enshrouded in the darkness, and we do not see anything. So it's just like in the dark night. Then there is no electric, there is no light. Then no matter how big we open our eyes, they're trying to see the things inside the house. We do not see anything. So even though on top of the tables, there is flowers, there is glass, there is cup, and etc. So, however, because of the darkness, then we do not see anything on the table.
那500岁的民学呢？但我这对那些个人，这这样子这里边的还不会觉得500岁的什么什么通过是不的，民间的通过嘛是500的，我也是通过没这样子还不会这里边这大家觉得还不多，应该是只要沉默了被。密度500那是一个时候，是每个人你这个沉默了可以呢，那个要不是不同的人多少个，我的你那500那是一个时候，我的那是在看的，500以内嘛，这老没人还是这不可能个人的同意的时候。
Yeah. So in that night, other than owls, then we do not see anything, right? So it's like if a person have a good pair of eyes, then can see clearly in the dark. In the dark, then we say that this person, his eyes is like owls that can see things in the dark. So other than owls, then we do not see things in darkness.
我对的，但俺是马里巴马桶啊，马里巴这个卷卡的用过，但这卷全部是不用过的，但对俺是去做了嘞，好快啊那的，俺说西南西的啷个生活的，米的生活的马桶的样啥都不多，样啥的俺是在电幕里头的，俺说那就比较这个东西，但是常在手机的电不多，我米马桶的我啷个米马桶的样啥都不多，我在电脑是马里巴的俺说，现在有个年龄的马桶新鲜了。这介绍的看我介绍是多少几了嘛的，这牙几了介绍要么的，是吧？去个年路马桶已经拿出结果了，年路的马戏团的拿出结果，是吧？一弄起来的马戏团的拿出结果了，这拿出结果啥看个的马桶的马戏的第进去打到6月看的。
So then we talk about the faults of ignorance. So basically, there are so many. So even in the movies that we can see, if a person is ignorant, then it's just like his eyes cannot see the road or the directions he or she is going, then end up falling off the cliff. So that is also one of the example. If one is due to ignorance, then it's like it is like one is blinded, then do not see the road. Or do not see the directions, then one fall off the cliffs. Then even you can see it in the movie. So what it means is if a person do not see the mode of existence of the phenomena, if one do not know about the mode of existence of phenomena, and then he make mistake, and the person make mistake and end up reborn in bad migrations.
莫把它没系统给特别来咱们的上面去，那的马里巴拉俺说话 你想一把，是吧？马里巴尼了，你晓得没些的木巴起的新旧的，那新旧的被刚才打到对吧？他就的本身，刚才打到这么自己马里巴去，打到这么自己马里巴，帝王的打最忙不是他我俩当时对是吧？帝王的最忙不是他了是吧？我打到这么自己马里巴，帝王的也被来，你这没纠结，啥也在对了，是吧？农事长在结果了，对，打到这么自己，对农事长在结果了不？
Yeah, so basically, if due to ignorance that is confused with the mode of existence of phenomena, or there is unknown due to ignorance that do not knows the mode of existence of phenomena, then one accumulates all sorts of karma. So besides, as just now we talk about the two types of ignorance, right? The first one is unknowing, and the second one is apprehended erroneously or wrongly apprehends. So this wrongly apprehends basically refers to the ignorance that apprehend as having a self. So ignorance that apprehends as a self, as having a self. Yeah, ignorance that apprehends as having a self. So because of this ignorance, then one creates all sorts of mistakes. Basically, one create all sorts of karma.
那新旧的这个马里巴是吧？大的马路有大的主观经历是吧？大的马路有大的主观经历马里巴。我在这个新旧的这个地方的对，别讲的狼也把这个吃，讲的狼把这吃过来，好的，狼把这去的马路的对，什么这些人把的没把大汤和被过去了的这种的，如果吧，狼干多少，狼干搞不也不就那。दिल मांडो बच्चे नाबूद लोग करे सिनेदा उस जगह चिंदो हो हुआ लंगा पे सुसु पे या रिकान लोग ने पांच चीजों मेदो योसा याबू लंगा जियो भाई ना लंगा दिल मांडो बच्चे फाशिना नोल पे पादा सीधा सिंगी योसा तंबी की पेशना सब दिल चिंदो और दिल चिंदो ना दिल चीज़ ये ताप से साय न्याची शेगुर हुआ तब या चीज़ से पाँव में दो तीन रोज़ को हमारा को वो दिल्ली चिलो क्या शिव जो वो तुम चिली ये आपको योरे सिलोगो था क्या वो तादा चीज़ ये सब लंगा दे चिना लंगा दे आपको योरे दे बीजी पिसुं तो बाजी लेके तुम चिलो होता क्या
Yeah. So basically, this ignorance, in fact, the phenomena do not exist as having a self. However, due to this ignorance, it apprehends as a phenomena as having a self. So because of this ignorance, then though one wants to go to the right path or to the right path, however, because of this ignorance, then one insists to go to the bad path. So one has gone astray, not traveling on the right path anymore. So it's just like if a person out of ignorance, then if a person wants to go climb the mountains to the top, then there is a path that is full of flowers, then the roof is nicely paved already, then the destinations is the top of the mountains, that is the destinations that you want to go. Then however, due to this ignorance, then this person regard another path. So the path that full of the wild animals, the tigers, lions, cheetahs, etc. For example, so there's full of those dangerous wild animals, and then because of this ignorance, if the person regards the dangerous path as good path and travel it and end up being eaten.
Susu temone susu pego da pakawala ju dole shu andu piche kawa dole to lande ndi yor da ni ndi tendi yore na susu mi ma thong yi chuarwa o tam bomba mi hi mari ba diwang de ni yor wa.
So another example for the first type of ignorance, the ignorance that is unknowing, then could be in the dark, then we walk and then we knock our forehead on the pillar and then we get angry at the pillar. So there is another example of ignorance that is unknowing.
Oh, that Marie, but the year says, you know, that and then you give up, which you give up, but it's all Marie in answer. That Jungi, Susula Jungi Rayata, Yamchan Royata, Topa Yindi in a man Yamchan Roya, Susu, no longer in a Jungeraya. China the D on the movie is a DG in a Mayuat. That is kind of Mariba D on the
So also the foremost Lama Tsongkhapa says in his Essence of Excellent Explanations, praise of the Lord Muni, so the root of all misery in the world is ignorance that is overcome by seeing the dependent arising that you have taught. So basically whatever problems, troubles in the world, so because of ignorance, so even and then we will suffer loss. So in terms of our wealth, in terms of our possessions, then we suffer loss or it degenerates. Then then we do not experience any happiness due to ignorance.
That is good to share. Non-degree down to a party children, non-degree. That kind of Gita Mari, but they want to take on the Chada Mos, the Chanda, it is heavily changed and not do the day. One non-degree down to that is someone Tegare. That Gita Mari, but they want to Mari, but they want to step by the Chada Mos.
Yeah, so the commentary on Compendium of Valid Cognitions, Dinaga's Compendium of Valid Cognitions. So if one have ignorance, then due to this ignorance, then one will have craving. Then because of cravings, then the one will be obscured by faults. Then because of ignorance, then attachment arises, hatred arises, and other afflictions also arises. So that is the faults. That is the faults of ignorance.
That is the time I think about Tesla in that war. That Tesla the machine. That Tesla the like that Demba Nala Yinis hours, it didn't that and I think this Tesla Demba Nala Yinis hour.
So the fifth one is doubt. So regarding doubt, the Compendium of Knowledge says, what is doubt? So this is being two-minded with regard to the truths.
That thing is she about the Gay Shola, Shona, Munju,
and it has the functions of acting as a support for not engaging in the class of virtue.
That cousin was a rumor she said, Tesla, the Unji to the Dermody in the channel, and so Tesla soon. Because she was a lorry got a cheap, the son, like,
Twin and twin, by the way.
No, you learn a cousin on the Unji to the Dermody to the channel, Tesla said, they cousin lorry got that one. Someone shoots at
Twin and twin, Euro.
The Unji to the Dermody to the channel persons. What? Because the data on the depiction,
and tiny and yeah, thank you, and tell me you. Oh, the Tanya. So doubt, then we have talked about doubts in Logic, awareness and knowers, and we also talk about doubt in numbering class as well. So then they are, when we study the doubts, so we study the doubts in these two classes, then we talked about there are three types of doubts. Doubts that is tending towards the fact, and doubts that is not tending towards the fact, and equal doubts.
That was the in the me, you're the me. Say, you know what you are, as I was. In the me, started touching. You're the me, the touching. Roda Mondo, the touching material. Sada Maza, the touching material. Not Manda,
Yeah, so when we talk about doubts in general, there are many different types. Basically, it is about you have doubts something being something or not. You have doubt thinking that whether it is something or whether it is not something, and then whether it exists or whether it doesn't exist. So and then there are many other doubts, such as you have doubt whether to go or not. You have doubt whether to eat something or not.
다다가 못다가 따바이는 못다가 피치 못다가 이나도 계속 그 된지 계속 좋아 그런데 저 못다바다 저 못다바 많이 받아 더 많이 받아 더 많이 받아
Yeah, so the doubt tending towards the fact, then whether right, the example is whether sound is permanent or not permanent. Sorry, whether the sound is permanent or impermanent. Most probably, sound is impermanent. Then this is a doubt tending towards the fact because it is a doubt has a being two-minded. So in logic, then we talks about have qualms two-pointedly. So you have these 2 points or these two-minded referring to whether the sound is permanent or impermanent. Most probably sound is impermanent since it is tending towards the fact. Therefore, it is called doubt tending towards the fact.
대면 주서 더더데 따마다 피치 따바이나도 계속 들어와 나도 나도 되나 문주가 되나 진주 말이 쓰고로 피치 따바이나도 계속 대면 주시 계속
So the same example, then whether the sound whether sound is permanent or impermanent, most probably it is permanent. Then this is doubt not tending towards the fact because sound is not permanent.
다 찬용받다 다다가마다 놈이 찬용받 계속 들어와 다디 다다바이나마 따바이나도 되게 찬용받
Yeah, so then the equal doubts is whether sound is permanent. I mean, the doubts thinking sound permanent or impermanent. So that is equal doubts.
다 뒤지와 나 간다 지난 계속 세워야 돼 나도게 이제 태송된 거죠. 짠이 부르는 맛이 우리 태송들 와. 다 대만나 간다 꾸인데 내려서 받는 이유가 내서 애들이 즉 여와서 받는 제 대원주는 문중 사들이 태송 저때다 맞아 취지하라 바지 제기 태송 좋아. 즉 여와서는 제 대와한테 중앙지 여는 내려서 애들이 배 꾼줄어서 떠버나 꾼줄 빼는 지는 너무 연한 내려서 어떤 들리기 태송 저도 간다 니무지 태송 자고요 와. 어디 지당 가서 태송을 된 이유는 많이 쓰고
Yeah, so this doubt being one of the 6 root afflictions, then it is a doubt in relation to truth, in relation to cause and effect, and in relation to cause and effect. For example, if the cause is virtue, then will it bring the results of happiness or not? Yeah, will virtuous cause brings the result of happiness or not? So there is the doubt. Then it is one of the doubts in the 6 root afflictions, one of the example. And then if I pray to the 3 jewels, then will I receive the blessings or not? Then again, this is doubt as one of the example for doubt in being one of the 6 root afflictions. So in general, when we talk about doubt is not necessarily an affliction.
근데 태송을 가지고 너무 전에 좀 너무 샤워 제가 태송라 너무 이 말에 이구 말에 이처럼 좋아할 때나데 수비에 제비에서 와 태송서와 너무 이구 말에
Yeah, so now let me ask you a question. In general, when we talk about doubts, is doubt necessarily an affliction? No, it's a question, so whoever can answer. Unmute yourself and answer Kish's last question. In general, is doubt necessarily an affliction?
I would say doubt is not an affliction because it leads to discovery of the truth by further study and searching.
Yeah. Ini dia ingo marisa kan isna ini ngangsu de temba de cheyo resa ini ngangsu de lobjong de kasa lobjong jeje ini dia ngangsu temba kari imi ini de cheyo res jesa ini de tesum de wangi ini dia temba kari imi ini ngangsu de lobjong jeje ini de cheya res jesa ini de tesum ina de nyomu ingo maris. Yeah, that is right. That's whatever you say is true. Yeah, so it's not necessarily an affliction.
被消完呢，你被消完呢，上你你们下了没下上天上有了，你们小有的没上，你们周围的没上你哪些干的有的没呢？是的，你天上的你们嘛对吧？被消完呢。
So a very easy example to illustrate that doubt is not necessarily an affliction. For example, doubt thinking is tomorrow will tomorrow a sunny day or not? So this doubt thinking tomorrow a sunny day, this doubt is not an affliction. So other than this example, then there are many other doubts that are not an afflictions. So however, the doubts that we are discussing right now in the context of 6 root afflictions, it is 100%, it is definitely an afflictions because it hinders us from practicing Dharma. Yeah, so I'm going to stop here. The next class, I'm going to start with afflicted views. Yeah, next week I'm going to start with afflicted views. So we have covered 5 non-views. So we conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated, especially through these Dharma discussions. So we dedicate for the flourishing of the Dharma and the happiness of all sentient beings. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for all upholders of the Buddha's teachings represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And may they live long, good health, and may their enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions. And whom we have, the very kind, our very kind teacher, Kapsha Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So now manifesting, showing the sickness of the gallstones. So, and we dedicate our roots of virtue for Kapsha Lama Zopa Rinpoche to quickly recover from the manifest sickness, and may good health, and may his enlightened activities spread to all directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue for all sentient beings, especially those who pass away in wars, conflicts, and disasters. So may their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who are undergoing great pain, great sufferings due to wars, conflicts, pandemic, and disaster. So, for example, those who are being put in the prison, etc. So may they be freed from their sufferings as soon as possible. And we also dedicate these fruits of virtue to those who help others, such as patients, those who are in a wretched state, and those who are caught in problems. So those who provide assistance to them, such as doctors, such as nurses, such as those who help them financially. So may they have excellent happiness, and may their wishes be accomplished immediately and without any obstacles, and may their life be free of danger and be free of obstacles, and especially those who bring happiness and peace to the world. So may they live long, may their life be free of obstacles, and may their wishes be accomplished instantaneously without obstacle.
Sabegiwadi tendang doa kula kampen tang keba jisu losan daba yi tembe nyingbo rindu seje shu senjo rinpo je ma keba na ki gyuchi keba nyamba me bayang kone kondo pewa shu kawe chita kimba dang kundo sambo de yang deshin de da kungi jisu dalo je kiwa da tamje rabdu ngo tongyi dawa rinpo je ma keba na ki gyuchi keba nyamba me bayang kone kondo pewa shu rimi dawa rinpo je ma ke bana ke gyuji ke banya ma me ma yang kone kondo bewa shu yin jang ge we den jing yong be we kun su do bo ze chu sung gu we le me du du ba da zo do je kun do sha de shu sun do ju be lang che che se se kan jen den yue gen cha na be mo den jing ga so la so wa de so shen de de du shu ne be de ma du ba kan le ju we sam be yi shin no ka din su me den jing ga so la so wa de so tu shen le du shu mi rao wei ko wei xin gang de pen dang de wang mang lu jung wei ne jian ren se wang den jing gao zu xia bei si te ba du den yu ji.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank you, Geshe-la.